On this week's City Skylines 2 o'clock, revealing the opt-in autosave system, getting down with a new beat, procedurally generated maps dismissed, and the Godfather of Crime is back. All of this with this week's special guest, and even older than the last time he was on the show, it's this old gamer.
I mean, it'd be impossible not to be, correct? I don't know. I'm glad I've opted into today's program. Hello, BonBon. How are you doing?
Well, next week we'll have Benjamin Button, just to prove it's possible to do this backwards.
Hello, everybody. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm really, really, really good. Excluding any big channel news from you, because we can cover that later. How's your week been?
Oh, it's been really good. Just, working in so many different ways. And I'm looking forward to a nice, relaxing weekend, possibly. I think today's going to be beautiful outside.
I'm hoping that you've got a barbecue just around the corner and there's some sort of sporting event that you can go and indulge yourself in.
Well, thank you.
Okay. So, early access videos. Here's a little something that I missed. I was going through a few of those after my video. Just checking up on seeing what other things I could have maybe added in. And there was a little something from the options menu. Didn't see much in the options menus from people, but under general, there were a few very interesting settings. One is for performance preference, where there's a drop-down menu in the video, and that showing is for frame rate. So there'll obviously be alternative settings, such as if your concern is on the simulation cycle, whatever. But more interesting than that, I think, was that the autosave is now an opt-in, with settings for the duration between saves, so 10 minutes or whatever, and how many save files the game should store. Rather than having 1 million on your hard drive, you can set it to 10 or whatever, as well as also the choice to completely disable autosave altogether. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it might be a sign that it's going to take a long time to save, which is something we've unfortunately grown accustomed to. So maybe they're giving you a few options where it's not constantly slowing down your gameplay and taking away from the vibe of the game. A lot of us have upgraded over the past couple of years to M.2s and the SSDs out there, but the old good old-fashioned hard drive disk, might be a little bit slower on those. So hopefully it's not that bad, but we'll see. It's interesting that they're giving us that option, and it's a good option to have.
Do you know what? It's actually a very, very good point about how long the saves might actually take. Because we know that the game is more optimized now. We're going to be using more cores. But saving isn't using cores. Saving is writing to a disk. And there's only a certain amount of speed. Yes, to an SSD, different thing altogether. Much, much quicker. But yeah, it's a very good point. Because it did used to take a little while to back up the old the autosaves. It used to be really frustrating, didn't it?
Yes, it did. And it would always have that little pending notification in the top right corner that it was saving, and that would sometimes be when the game would actually crash back a while ago too. I mean, over the years, there's been mods that help you get out of the game and quicker. That was another area that you usually got that lockup is when you were trying to exit. So it will be a good thing to have those options. Let's just hope that they're quick enough where it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't really take away from the game itself in any ways.
Yeah. Well, they'll say there are a couple of other interesting options there. The first one I have no idea about at all. Hopefully you'll be... I know exactly what that is, but it'd be great if you do. One of them is file change tracking mode. Now, there are absolutely zero clues in the video. There's a drop-down menu, but it's listed as none in the video. And the only things I can find via Google are relating to Windows settings. Any idea what a file change... This is the top option in general. File change tracking mode. Thoughts?
Well, I'm sorry to let you down. I don't know what that is. It sounds like something where possibly you could make saves on an alternate drive, maybe. Something where if you didn't want to save your save games on the boot up drive or whatever drive you're using to play the game off of, maybe you could save the files for the maps and all that kind of stuff on a different hard drive. If that's an option, it would be exclusively, you would think it would be exclusively to save games, because if that same path is for mods, you'd want that on the same drive as the game itself, you would think. Um, and I mean, how big are these files? You wouldn't think the save file is all that big. So yeah, I'm not really sure. It's a very odd name. Like you said, you Googled it and it didn't come up with anything. I mean, any theories?
Oh, crikey. I mean, my first thought was, and this is so wide of the mark, it cannot be, but the possibility of a rewind. Because if you're tracking when the files are being changed, you could then, in theory, go back to half an hour before and basically... but then that's why we have autosaves. So it makes
Right.
no sense to me at all. I do not know. But there is a final button on the general menu, which is listed as Install Modding Toolchain, which, having done a little bit of a Google, does definitely seem to be directly targeted at modders. And it looks like it's an app or a set of tools which will make modding for Cities Skylines 2 easier for those who have the skills and who want to get involved. How does that sound?
It sounds very intriguing. It sounds like a gateway for more mods, possibly. Maybe this game is going to have even more of a wide open basis for mod making. That could be really something. I mean, there's probably a few little tricks up Colossal Order's sleeves with this game that we have not necessarily seen. They were very transparent during all these dev diaries on a lot of stuff. Doesn't mean that they're not going to hide a few things back here or there, especially if they're kind of finalizing some of that stuff to make sure, it's going to work properly. Obviously, it's probably already ready to go in game, but just some of the under the hood type stuff. That is a very intriguing one to me, though. Something where maybe anybody could just kind of mess around, like combine a couple of mods into one mod, or have some fun, do something really, silly type stuff, whatever. You name it. It could be anything.
Yeah, it is curious. I mean, hopefully they have got a few little tricks tucked up their sleeve. Maybe something about the criminal underworld, but more about that in later in
Dear.
today's show. Oh yes,
Maybe
indeed.
maybe they have a few tricks tucked in the hefty bag that one sim is wearing when she's walking around.
Oh man, yes. What a thought that is. Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's it. Don't no need to apologise. It's all good. Now I'm sorry that there is something I cannot share on the channel right now, only because I'm not entirely sure what the copyright situation is. And that is that the new music for Cities Skylines 2, that, as we discussed on the Dev Diary report a couple of weeks ago by Jon Valtonen, which has now been released on Spotify. Now, I can't really play it here because I don't know if I'm going to get a copyright strike. I wouldn't have thought so, but I'm not going to take the risk. So rather than take that, if you're watching or listening now and you want to hear this music, head on over to Spotify, do a little search for Cities Skylines 2 theme, and it'll pop up. Jon, spelt Jonne, I think that's right, Valtonen, and then basically have a little listen to this. 2 tracks, one which is the menu theme, one which is the main track. I know that you, this old gamer, I know you've had a little listen to it. What were your thoughts on it?
I thought that you'd messaged me about this, and I missed the message. I'm kind of glad that I did not listen to it on the way to work when I was still waking up, because I think I would have fell asleep at the wheel. But I will say, I'm not sure if you know this about this old gamer, but I am a big classical music fan. I also like music from the Baroque period and all that. And so I had a little bit of vibe of that. I was kind of thinking at first, we were going down the Stanley Kubrick, like, 2001: A Space Odyssey, and then it combines with a little Clockwork Orange and a little hint of The Shining in there. So you got a little bit of all sorts of different music mashups. I could also tell that some of that would work really well I was thinking, okay, I'm building a city, and this is in the background. It would work for that as well. So you'd think snippets of that might be used in the game as well. But overall, I thought it was all right. It had some like nice build up and stuff, and it was very long. I think I did the long version. I did the extended LP. It was a bonus track or something.
Yeah. Mind you, if this is on going to be on loop, you don't want it to be too short because then it will feel really repetitive.
This is true.
But we hadn't discussed our thoughts on the music prior to recording, and
No.
your notes are somewhat similar to mine because my first two notes were movie score. So, as you've led with movies there, I thought it had hints of John Williams's E.T. theme. Not
Yep.
the same tune, but the same kind of the same feel as
Yep.
an E.T. theme. And again, my exact notes here definitely has the feel of the hustle and bustle of a city, which is clearly what the intention was. So there's a big win there. My thought was, and I think this ties in with your thought that you found it almost a little boring. You would have fallen asleep. My notes along that line that I would have liked a stronger melody. It was very hard to pick out. Yeah, I couldn't hum you the Cities Skylines 2 theme. I would recognise it, but I can't hum it, and I kind of want to be humming it.
Oh, I think we all do.
And
I
whereas
think we all do.
the original theme, we were all humming it while we were playing.
Think of the great city building soundtracks. I mean, SimCity 4 has its own radio station on Cities Skylines with the radio mod and all that. Music does play a big part. And when you're sitting there playing, and you could tell there was some thinking music in there, a little, like I was sitting there, like almost some sounds that almost sound like car horns and things like that too.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it definitely had a good city vibe. I mean, like I said, I liked it overall. I'm just glad I didn't listen to it on the way in after 3 hours of sleep last night.
It is classy. The music is classy. As I say, I think it just lacks. For me, it lacks a melody. Other than that, it's absolutely on point. I think it's a really, really good, well written, well structured. Shall we move on?
We shall. Yeah, I get what you're saying, though. It would be hard to hum that to somebody.
Yes, you're not wrong. Okay. Anyway, so moving on to something a little bit different. Notice sort of the map channel, I guess. Saw a little text chat or a screenshot of a text chat from somebody who was talking to Colossal Order this week regarding the potential for procedurally generated maps. Unfortunately, I don't know exactly who sent the message, other than that they appear to be from France, but it looks and sounds and reads as legitimate, so I'm quite happy to roll with that here. The question they asked was, will there be an option for randomised maps like in Civilization, which of course is a question very close to my own heart. And if not, the maps themselves may be the natural resources placement. So they're looking for either completely randomised maps, just hit a button, randomly generated map, or the regular maps, but hit the button and it would randomly generate the resources. To which Colossal Order's answer was that the maps are carefully crafted to provide your city with a variety of terrain and natural resource options, as well as to ensure the starting area has everything your city needs to succeed. We would not be able to guarantee a good experience with randomised maps or resource placement. So what are your thoughts on the possibility, even though they're not going to happen, of procedurally generated maps? Is it something that you think they could have implemented?
Could you read that last part one more time about why that it wouldn't guarantee what was that again?
Yeah, we would not be able to guarantee a good experience with
Have they ever guaranteed a good experience? Yeah, I will say, and with you, Civilization 6, with me, I got into Valheim incredibly hardcore for a long time. Valheim is a fantastic game, and the map on there is procedure generated, and so you never get the same one. they also have something they call seeds where you can actually look up that map. It's still random, but you can actually find it online and stuff. It's a really good concept if if you had a system in place where it was generating enough randomness to it that you could load the map up and look at it and go, nope, and then click it again. And, if you could go through a dozen maps in 2 minutes or something like that, but that's asking a lot of the engine and all that.
Well,
so, but
you had Teddy Radko. His map load was only 23 seconds. So
that's true.
If it's only going to take 23 seconds, I'm just wondering whether or not they had the, shall we say, the skill level to be able to produce the procedurally generated maps, or how much of this was built off of on the shoulders, rather than a rebuild, but on the shoulders of Cities Skylines 1, and it wasn't really something that it would have been a completely new way to take the game, and maybe they weren't ready for that.
Yeah, it could be that it's not something that would be supported necessarily by this upgraded Unity engine. Yeah, number of possibilities. It's not the end of the world. It's a good question by the gentleman from France. The little comments to the Colossal Order is pretty. I've seen a couple of those pop up. I try to stay away from Facebook at times, just mental health reasons.
Yeah.
And but I have seen those, and it's really cool that they actually answer. I mean, it looks like they answer a majority of the questions being sent to them. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Yeah, I would have liked. I mean, it's one of the 12 things that I was waffling about 2.5 years ago with my things I want to see in Cities Skylines 2 video was the possibility of procedurally generated maps. So I'm glad this question's come up from somebody who wasn't me, because I'm definitely not. Despite having a French-sounding name, I'm definitely not French.
Le bonbon.
Yes, or is it le bonbon, or is it la bon? Anapu. Please let me know in the comments. I'm sure there are other French. There are definitely other French followers. Anyway, right. So now, going back to the analysing of the early access gameplays, as I was going through, there were some very interesting chirps. Now, obviously, this is for entertainment purposes. We're just going to have a chuckle. Nothing more than that. Let's start with one from the kind of person that we all know in real life. This was Jerry Jennings. And at 13:02 on that particular day, they chirped, "I love warm weather. Let's hope it's not going to rain today." Right, remember that little chirp? Because 9 minutes later, they followed up with, "The smog is just unbearable. Someone could really deal with all of this air pollution." Now, I don't know if you can think of a natural way of removing the smog from the air. Maybe some rain? Would that resolve it?
Oh, what a good follow Jerry would be.
Oh man, yes. All right, but Jerry isn't the reason why we're looking at chirps. We're looking at. Let me just turn the clock back to the 2nd of September when you were last on the show. Do you remember Aino, the assumed godfather of crime, otherwise known as Henry, right? And they were the official employer of Jacqueline Hadley, who was a specialist robber. Mm-hmm. So based on that information, I figured that Aino might be a crime lord. Now, obviously, these criminal kingpins make money from many ways, and they need to hide it legitimately somehow or the other. One way is through money laundering, i.e. opening up a shell business, pretending that shell business is making the money that's coming from the crime. So we're looking for some sort of evidence of shell businesses, and I've got some. Oh man, have I got some. So let's start off with a chirp from Aino. A population of this particular city was 93, and they invited us to visit the new gas station at 148 Briar Rose Street. Now that particular chirp didn't get a single like, so there wasn't clearly much demand for a new gas station. A few minutes later, with the population at 336, we get invited to visit the new gas station by Aino at 88 Robin Street. Now, that one got 2 likes.
Hmm.
A few minutes later, 1743, with a population of 408, we have a third gas station from Ainur, this time at 16 Willow Street. This one got 4 likes, so it's getting more popular, these multitude of gas stations. Still, 3 gas stations for 400 people seems a little bit of an overkill, but it's okay because Ainur has got you covered. The following day, with a population of 523, they open a 4th gas station at 154 Briar Rose Street. That got 2 likes, but notably, it is only 3 doors down from the first gas station they opened at 148 Briar Rose Street. My question to you is this something that Colossal Order are really throwing at us? Is it a real thing, or is it just nothing?
I mean, I guess the question as far as address is how close are you to 221 Baker Street in London? That's Sherlock Holmes over here. Yeah, you know, as you were saying that, I'm sitting there thinking it's like they're building a story. They're building a story with this Henry character in a sense, and maybe, quite possibly, you know, I was talking about tricks up your sleeves. What if they had like some, little like stories that you could follow along with in a sense? I mean, we know that we're going to be seeing people's from early life to death and all that kind of full life cycle stuff. What if they had like some little, side, almost like a side quest, not really a quest, but like a side adventure you're following along with as you're playing the game, these little hints and stuff, you're picking up on stuff. I mean, that'd be kind of a cool thing to do. I mean, that you're right though. It's overkill for the too many gas stations. They're driving the prices. I mean, the competition's good, but come on.
Yeah, I would love to see it. I would love to see what you've just suggested there. But we are almost out of time, so you've got about 10 seconds to tell me what's coming up on your channel.
Oh, it's new. See it now. Thank you. Love you.
And of course, we've got the 81 player collaboration coming up at the end of this week. Closing date is this weekend. If you haven't done it already, it might be too late. Anyway, that's it from us. Thanks for watching, and say goodbye, please.
Goodbye, please.
Thanks for watching.